From ABC News, this is World News with Charles Gibson, reporting tonight from Alaska.
Good evening. We are in Fairbanks tonight, where we spent part of the day with Alaska's Governor Sarah Palin for her first extensive interview since being named John McCain's running mate. We met with the governor shortly before she addressed a deployment ceremony for an Army infantry division, which includes her son, Track. He'll be sent to Iraq later this month. The ceremony comes on the 7th anniversary of September 11th. We're going to have further conversations with Governor Palin tonight and tomorrow that will be on this broadcast tomorrow. But on this day, when national security is on everyone's mind, we wanted to talk about her view of the world.
Governor, let me start by asking you a question that I asked John McCain about you. And it is really the central question. Can you look the country in the eye and say, I have the experience and I have the ability to be not just vice president, but perhaps president of the United States of America?
I do, Charlie. And on January 20th, when John McCain and I are sworn in, if we are so privileged to be elected to serve this country, we'll be ready. I'm ready.
When McCain asked you to take the number 2 spot on the ticket, for a moment, did you think no?
I did not. I thought yes, right off the bat. When he offered me the position as his running mate, the first thing I said to him was, if you really think that I can help the ticket, if you really think that I can help this country, absolutely, I want to do this with you.
And you didn't say to yourself, am I experienced enough? Am I ready?
I didn't hesitate. No,
Doesn't that take some hubris?
I answered him yes, because I have the confidence in that readiness and knowing that you can't blink. You have to be wired in a way of being so committed to the mission that we're on, reform of this country and victory in the war. You can't blink. So I didn't blink then even when asked to run as his running mate.
But this is not just reforming a government. This is also running a government on the huge international stage in a very dangerous world. When I asked John McCain about your national security credentials, he cited the fact that you have command of the Alaskan National Guard and that Alaska is close to Russia. Are those sufficient credentials?
But it is about reform of government, and it's about putting government back on the side of the people. And that has much to do with foreign policy and national security issues. Let me speak specifically about a credential that I do bring to this table, Charlie, and that's with the energy independence that I've been working on for these years as the governor of this state that produces nearly 20% of the U.S. domestic supply of energy, that I worked on as chairman of the Alaska Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, overseeing the oil and gas developments in our state to produce more for the United States.
National security is a whole lot more than energy.
It is, but I want you to not lose sight of the fact that energy is a foundation of national security. It's that important. It's that significant.
Did you ever travel outside the country prior to your trip to Kuwait and Germany last year?
Canada, Mexico, and then, yeah, that trip that was a trip of a lifetime to visit our troops in Kuwait and stop and visit our injured soldiers in Germany. That was a trip of a lifetime, and it changed my life.
Have you ever met a foreign head of state?
I have not, and I think if you go back in history and if you ask that question of many vice presidents, they may have the same answer that I just gave you. But Charlie, again, we got to remember what the desire is in this nation at this time. It is for no more politics as usual and somebody's big fat resume maybe that shows decades and decades in that Washington establishment where, yeah, they've had opportunity to meet heads of state.
Let me ask you about some specific national security situations.
Sure.
Let's start, because we are near Russia, let's start with Russia and Georgia. The administration has said we've got to maintain the territorial integrity of Georgia. Do you believe the United States should try to restore Georgian sovereignty over South Ossetia and Abkhazia?
First off, we're going to continue good relations with Saakashvili there. I was able to speak with him the other day and giving him my commitment as John McCain's running mate that we will be committed to Georgia. And we've got to keep an eye on Russia. For Russia to have exerted such pressure in terms of invading a smaller democratic country, unprovoked, is unacceptable, and we have to keep...
You believe unprovoked?
I do believe unprovoked, and we have got to keep our eyes on Russia under the leadership there.
What insight into Russian actions, particularly in the last couple of weeks, does the proximity of the state give you?
They're our next-door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
Favor putting Georgia and Ukraine into NATO?
Ukraine, definitely, yes. Yes, and Georgia. Putin thinks otherwise. Obviously, he thinks otherwise.
And under the NATO treaty, wouldn't we then have to go to war if Russia went into Georgia?
Perhaps so. I mean, that is the agreement when you are a NATO ally, is if another country is attacked, you're going to be expected to be called upon and help.
Let me turn to Iran. Do you consider a nuclear Iran to be an existential threat to Israel?
I believe that under the leadership of Ahmadinejad, nuclear weapons in the hands of his government are extremely dangerous to everyone on this globe, yes.
So what should we do about a nuclear Iran?
We have got to make sure that these weapons of mass destruction, that nuclear weapons, are not given to those hands of Ahmadinejad. Not that he would use them, but that he would allow terrorists to be able to use them. So we have got to put the pressure on Iran.
What if Israel decided it felt threatened and needed to take out the Iranian nuclear facilities?
Well, first, we are friends of Israel, and I don't think that we should second-guess the measures that Israel has to take to defend themselves and for their security.
So if we wouldn't second-guess it and they decided they needed to do it because Iran was an existential threat, we would be cooperative or agree with that?
I don't think we can second-guess what Israel has to do to secure its nation.
So if it felt necessary, if it felt the need to defend itself by taking out Iranian nuclear facilities, that would be all right?
We cannot second-guess the steps that Israel has to take to defend itself.
We talk on the anniversary of 9/11. Why do you think those hijackers attacked? Why did they want to hurt us?
You know, there is a very small percentage of Islamic believers who are extreme and they are violent and they do not believe in American ideals. And they attacked us. And now we are at a point here 7 years later on the anniversary in this post-9/11 world where we're able to commit to never again. The only option for them is to become a suicide bomber, to get caught up in this evil, in this terror. They need to be provided the hope that all Americans have instilled in us because we're a democratic, we are a free, and we are a free-thinking society.
Do you agree with the Bush doctrine?
In what respect, Charlie?
The Bush, well, what do you interpret it to be?
His worldview?
No, the Bush doctrine, enunciated September 2002, before the Iraq War.
I believe that what President Bush has attempted to do is rid this world of Islamic extremism, terrorists who are hell-bent on destroying our nation. There have been blunders along the way, though. There have been mistakes made. And with new leadership, and that's the beauty of American elections, of course, and democracy, is with new leadership comes opportunity to do things better.
The Bush doctrine, as I understand it, is that we have the right of anticipatory self-defense, that we have the right to a preemptive strike against any other country that we think is going to attack us. Do you agree with that?
Charlie, if there is legitimate and enough intelligence that tells us that a strike is imminent against American people, we have every right to defend our country.
Do we have the right to be making cross-border attacks into Pakistan from Afghanistan, with or without the approval of the Pakistani government?
As for our right to invade, we're going to work with these countries, building new relationships, working with existing allies, but forging new also, in order to, Charlie, get to a point in this world where war is not going to be a first option. In fact, war has got to be, and military strike, a last option.
But Governor, I'm asking, we have the right, in your mind, to go across the border with or without the approval of the Pakistani government?
In order to stop Islamic extremists, those terrorists who would seek to destroy America and our allies, we must do whatever it takes, and we must not blink, Charlie, in making those tough decisions of where we go and even who we target.
And let me finish with this. I got lost in a blizzard of words there. Is that a yes, that you think we have the right to go across the border with or without the approval of the Pakistani government, to go after terrorists who are in the Waziristan area?
I believe that America has to exercise all options in order to stop the terrorists who are hell-bent on destroying America and our allies. We have got to have all options out there on the table.
We also talked about Iraq. Governor Palin made some provocative comments about the war in a recent appearance in an Alaskan church. We'll have her comments on that at the end of the broadcast.